take your supplier catalogue, you use verbatim the description of the product you're selling on your website, you've just done the same thing as 20, 30, 100, 1,000 other websites. That's duplicate content. Google will penalise you for that kind of stuff, and a lot of those sites did get hit by the Panda update. So that's a significant issue for some businesses. If you have these kinds of problems, then the best thing you can do is either just delete the pages if they're duplicate content or just rubbish, or if they're kind of important but you've got another page that basically does the same thing, redirect the slightly ropey pages to the better quality page that effectively replaces that. Probably not an issue for too many of us here, but if you've got a lot of adverts on your pages, the pay-per-click ads, Google AdSense, that kind of stuff, that may get you penalised as well if there's too much above the fold, i.e. at the top of the page. So best to avoid that too. Strong signals for Google that your content isn't rubbish, useless stuff that nobody wants is when people link to it and when people talk about it and mention it on social media. So if they're tweeting links to your content, if they are blogging about what you've got on your website and linking to it, these are all obvious signals for Google. Well, human beings are looking at this and saying, no, it is worth having, it is worth looking at because I'm linking to it. So if you can get those links, which is of course classic search engine optimization anyway, then you'll be in a much better position. There's a bit.ly link down there, bit.ly/PandaGoogle, which takes you to a more in-depth analysis of what Google's actually looking for, or rather what you shouldn't be doing in terms of the Panda update down there. So if you think this might hurt you, then you should look at the guidelines there. This is just one example of the kind of page that they don't like. This has been written specifically to target phrases like bill paying system, pay bills on time, and although you can't see a lot of the content on there, if you were to read that whole thing, what you'd find is it's completely useless. The bill paying system that they are telling you about simply says, 1. Make a list of the bills you have. 2. Put the dates when you have to pay them. 3. Pay the bills on the dates that you've put next to the bills in the list. Not exactly a genius bill paying system. That's the kind of rubbish that Google's trying to get out of its search index. Now, the wider impact of the Panda update is not so much websites getting hit, although there have been plenty of those, but for everybody here, the fact is one of the common ways of getting links to a website, and links account for more than 70% of Google's algorithm. So basically, if you're in a competitive market, targeting certain keywords that lots of other people are optimizing for, if you don't have links, you won't be going anywhere near the top 10. So you've got to get links. An easy way of doing that was to write articles and publish them on something known as article directories or article marketing sites. The problem is, those are content farms too, and they all, without question and without exception, got hit by Panda. So if you were, as a mainstay of your link building activity, writing articles, publishing them on things like easyarticles.com and what have you, and getting links back from those articles because you put them there, well, that doesn't really work anymore because Google has penalised all of those websites, and therefore the links from those sites no longer count for much either. So you have to replace article marketing with other ways of getting links to your website. An obvious way of doing that is guest blogging, finding people with blogs or websites willing to accept your guest articles for free for them, so free content. In return, you're allowed to put a link in the article, which is what you get, i.e. link building for your website's SEO. We've also seen recently, or certainly earlier this year, Google, as usual, unequivocally against people paying for links to their website. And there were a number of high-profile outings in the media, the New York Times and stuff, where websites were penalised for 90 days and then allowed back in. That's good news if you're a big brand, because Google needs big brands in its index because that's what people look for. If you're not a big brand, you probably aren't going to get back in within 90 days if you're penalised. So, as usual, buying links is a very tricky thing because lots of people do it, and if you're trying to compete with them, it's hard not to. But at the same time, if you get found out and your competitors can report you through the paid link report form in Google Webmaster Tools, then you may well get a very hefty penalty, i.e. kicked out of Google. So it's a tricky one, but we know that Google are still actively looking for that. A final one to mention on the algorithm changes. Google have said, look, we reward at the moment people who happen to have the phrase that you're searching for as their domain name. So if you happen to have promotionalgifts.com and somebody searches promotional gifts, you get an unnatural benefit simply because you've got promotionalgifts.com. Google have said we are going to turn the whip down on these. So basically, if you're relying on the fact that your website address is whatever your business is.com, the keywords, then if that's the only thing you've been doing for SEO, you're going to start sliding down those rankings very soon. So I would start to look at proper SEO, keyword research, on-page optimization, link building, and so on. Right, second thing quickly is microdata. Microdata is a way of telling search engines...
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're booked on the 3 o'clock stadium tour, please make your way to the reception desk. Thank you.
You don't have to stay sitting there if you're booked on, by the way. This is a way of telling search engines what the information in your pages is specifically. So if it's a recipe, you can tell them the calories in the recipe, the rating of that recipe and so forth. If it's a product, you can put product details in there, all kinds of stuff. It's worth looking into this if you list products and so forth, because what the search engines are doing is things like this. So for example, there's over on the right hand side a CD on play.com. Those reviews are taken from users' reviews on play.com. Google knows that they're reviews because play.com have marked them up in the data as reviews. So if you want to get extra impact like that, you need to start using microdata. I recommend you look at schema.org for more information on that. The search engines also confirmed at the end of last year, social media is now a ranking factor. So what people say about you on Twitter, the links that they make, how they share your name, your information, etc., is going towards where your website ranks when people search excuse me, on Google or Bing excuse me, or Bing for that matter. So it's more important than ever that you get people talking about you on Twitter, sharing links to your website. You give them reasons to want to do that. Again, promotions are an obvious reason for people to share links to your website on Twitter. Look at this great thing, get a free something on Twitter. By tweeting our link to our website. This is a way that you can use promotional items to help your SEO. It can get you greater coverage in social media. Of course, Google have also launched their own social network, Google+, and within that they have Google+1. One of the things that that's doing is personalising search results. If somebody has talked about something in social media and you're connected to them, so if they've tweeted it, if they've mentioned it on Google+, if it's in Google Reader because you subscribe to their blog, it may turn up in your search results because you're connected. So the red outline there, that's only there because I'm connected to that person. If I wasn't, and I searched for climbing Kilimanjaro, I would not see that link at all in my search result. It's purely because I'm connected to them. So again, the more social media mentions and links that you can get, the more likely you are to turn up in the search results of people's networks. It's the network effect. Now, I strongly recommend that you all add a Google +1 button to your website. Some of you may already have Facebook like buttons, tweet this buttons, add this to Dig, Delicious, StumbleUpon, all that kind of stuff. Google +1 is the equivalent of a Facebook like button. It's a way for people to tell Google directly, I think this is good. And Google loves that kind of information. Real human beings say this web page is worth looking at. So have a +1 button on your website. It also shows up anybody you know that's +1 something in the search results, and that's what you can see at the bottom of that slide there. At the moment, it just uses your Google profile connection. So anywhere you're connected on Google, Gmail, Google Talk, all this kind of stuff. But you can put a +1 button on absolutely any kind of web page, and the way to do that is through that link at the bottom there, google.com/webmasters +1 button index. Okay, one thing I would say about social media, as with Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, it's a conversation, not a sales pitch. So if you want to engage people, treat it like being down and having a discussion.
The 3 o'clock pitch tour will be leaving in about 1 minute from the reception area. Thank you.
If you start using Twitter simply to say, look how great we are, buy our stuff, nobody is going to follow you, retweet you, or in any way be interested. In the same way that if you went down the pub with them and all they did was talk about themselves for 3 hours, you probably would never want to see them again. That's how social media works. You have to think of it in that conversational kind of way. Okay, my final quick tip, promotional items for SEO. Well, obviously, as Andrew mentioned as well, make sure that your web address is on all of your promotional items. I'm sure you all do that already. But bearing in mind the importance of links in search engine optimization, why not use your promotional items as a reward for people who link to you? Run a promotion, a competition, a giveaway of some description, and make it part of the competition that they have to link to you and email you to notify you of where that link has been made. You can then do a prize draw, pick somebody out of the hat, they get this fantastic branded whatever it might be. I cannot stress enough for those of you who aren't familiar with search engine optimization that links are the be-all and end-all of search engine optimization. So the more you can get, the better you will do. As I also mentioned, you can use promotional items for incentives to tweet a link to your site, to tweet your Twitter, to retweet something that you've said, a promotion that you've made. and then again you can monitor that using Twitter search, pick a winner at random and reward them with said promotional gift. So bear in mind how you might use all of that. I'm going to be available just down the way, or indeed just standing here because this is actually my laptop. So if you've got any questions, do come and talk to me, or if you want to talk to Andrew about what he's covered as well, please do so. If you don't have time today but you're interested, come and grab a card, or just get my details down there. And this is the address for downloading this presentation, the slideshare.re/BT search. That's the shortcut that will get you this presentation online. I'll leave that there for 2 seconds and then put the contact details again. Thanks very much.